Welcome to the Forbes India Show. Our guest today is a man who possibly holds one of the most challenging jobs in the world. He's got to turn around an iconic company. When Kazuo Hirai took over as CEO of Sony in April, the company reported 4 straight years of losses, and his avowed task now is to transform the company. Hirai, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure being here.
You talk about transforming Sony, of changing Sony. So what does change mean in your book?
I think that we need to approach change at Sony from a multitude of different directions. We need to be faster at decision making. We need to be faster at execution. We also need to have a lot more of a focus on what our core businesses for Sony are going to be going forward into the future. And I've identified those as being the video game and network services, our mobile space, including our smartphones, tablets, and PCs, and also our digital imaging space, where, as you know, we have a very advanced technology in the image sensor field.
Okay. And
that manifests itself into a lot of differentiated digital imaging products, both on the still camera side as well as the handycam, the video side, and also, of course, in our professional equipment as well.
Okay. So we'll just come to that in just a bit. One of the earliest successes was the mainstreaming, if I may call it, of gaming, when you actually took out and advertised gaming consoles in the NFL, in the NASCAR. That was an expensive decision, but it made suddenly it opened up gaming consoles to a whole new audience. What made you take the decision, and are we going to see something like that here in any of the fields you mentioned?
Well, what we did at the PlayStation business when we started the business back in the mid-90s was we made a commitment internally to say video gaming can be a third pillar of entertainment. That is to say, many people enjoy music, a lot of people enjoy movies and television motion pictures, and video gaming, we believe, could be that third pillar. And for us to be able to do that, we needed to go into the mainstream in terms of marketing messaging, in terms of product placement, and it's turned out to be a very successful business for us.
So you, as you said, you've identified digital imaging, you've identified mobile, and you've identified games as your core. So where does it leave televisions?
Televisions as a business is a very important business for Sony.
Okay.
And one of the main reasons for that is the fact that because Sony is not in white goods, we don't manufacture refrigerators or rice cookers, appliances. So in the home, the major touch point that Sony has with the consumers is actually through the television. It's also the gateway to all the beautiful content that people enjoy. And we need to make sure that we have that solid connection with the customers.
Apart from marketing, and how are you cutting costs? You are now opening plants in Malaysia to make your own components. You've changed your supply chain. Does India fit into that picture at all? Does it fit in as a sourcing base for Sony to lower costs for your television?
I think that one of the biggest changes we made in the television business over the last 6 months or so was the fact that we dissolved our LCD panel manufacturing joint venture with Samsung. We also did the same with our joint venture with Sharp, which allowed us to free ourselves of the fixed costs of running half of an LCD panel manufacturing business, and therefore we are now able to source the panels in the open market at competitive pricing. And that probably is the biggest component in terms of cost savings. There are other smaller logistics costs, operation costs that we're looking into as well.
So you can go out in the market and ask people to bid, and you get the cheapest or the most efficient way of
the balance of quality, pricing, and of course delivery.
Is that step enough for you to turn the business around?
I think that we need to do 2 things. One is the defensive move, where we need to cut costs as much as possible, but at the same time we need to make sure that even in this commoditized LCD TV business, that we continue to innovate and bring quality to our customers.
Let's talk about the other business where you've had a presence in for over 10 years, the computer business with Vaio. There's a general sense that it's not a priority business for you because competition is intense. You've got competition from all kinds. You've got Apple, you've got Asus, you've got HP, you've got Dell. How What's your vision for the computer business?
Sure. Well, quite the contrary, actually. When I mentioned that the mobile space is a core business for Sony going forward, that includes smartphones, tablets, and of course our Vio line of PCs as well.
Okay.
And I think there again, we do use an operating system, the Windows-based operating system that the vast majority of other PC makers use as well. And it really then depends on the features and functionality of the Vio as a hardware device, as well as form factor and design. And I think those are the areas where Sony excels vis-a-vis some of our competitors.
So what went wrong? Because Sony Ericsson used to be the number 2 phone in India. If you didn't buy a Nokia, you bought a Sony Ericsson. Now there's a sense that you're just trying to catch up. You're trying to catch up with Samsung, you're trying to catch up with Apple. What went wrong, and how are you going to correct that? And,
I think that one of the major developments for the smartphone business for Sony was the fact that we actually dissolved our joint venture with Ericsson. And in some instances, joint ventures take a little bit more time in terms of decision making when you have two parents to report to. Now that it is a wholly owned subsidiary of Sony, it is focused in what it needs to accomplish in terms of making the contribution to the Sony group, and also decision making within the organization has become a lot faster, and that obviously manifests itself in making sure that we have product that come out to market a lot faster than before. So it's all about focus, speed, and again execution.
So are you going to be continuing to bet big on Android, or will you look at Windows 8? Will Sony be looking to invest in its own operating system?
Sure. I think that in the mobile space, we have predominantly worked with Google on their Android platform, both on our smartphones as well as our tablets. And of course, we work extensively with Microsoft as well. And at IFA this week, we announced our lineup of Windows 8-based, so touch-based PCs on the Vio lineup. And as far as our own operating system is concerned, a lot of people actually don't notice this, but we actually have a great and robust operating system called the PlayStation operating system that powers the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation Vita, and that's something that's proprietary to Sony.